Hello, brothers and sisters of light, and welcome to my page. My page about common sense. When I try to keep it down, I do the nitty gritty under 10 minutes. If it goes over 10 minutes, that means it's something very, very, very important. And not important to liberals, libertards, people believe in God, people like to smoke, people like to drink, people like ayahuasca, people like DMT. Listener's discretion is advised. And when I say that people shouldn't watch my videos because you believe in God, it's the external God, because you are God within yourself, right? Little g God. We're not talking about the big gods. Y'all don't want to know about the history of the gods. You don't want to know about the history. But you got Christians out there and people who are with the Nation of Islam or whatever, believing in their so-called Allahs and their even Buddhist. You don't understand how many gods there are, okay? So we're not going to go down that road, okay? So these videos are not for you if you're very emotional and you don't know how to think for yourself. You don't do your own due diligence. You don't like research. You shouldn't watch my videos. All right, okay, here we go. Now, we already know that no one knows the authors of all these books that's created. And I want to talk about one particular thing today before I get out of here, because I'm at work. So I try my best to make it short and sweet and simple within 10 minutes before someone comes in here. Please, these are the times when you should call the police and when you should not call the police. Because I'm telling you from my personal anecdotal experience, there are certain times you should call the police and at certain times you should not call the police. Alright? Alright. So from my personal experiences, in my past, I've called the police and I tried to get the law involved in my situation, completely innocent and completely ignorant about what's about to happen. You do not call the police when it has something to do with any type of criminal activity, like something outside your house and they saw you. Okay, you have to be completely anonymous, and this is where anonymous calling and tip calling does come in. And it's good that we have tip calling to give pointers and hints to whatever criminal activity is going on, like neighborhood watch. And you could be a neighborhood watch, not a snitch. The definition of a snitch is actually when two thugs or two criminals tell on one another. That's the true definition of what a snitch is. The neighborhood watch is just someone who's watching over the neighborhood, like HOA, okay, and is calling and reporting the police because you're doing something criminal. Okay, if there's signs clearly telling you there's no soliciting, you are breaking the law, okay, because that's a privately owned area. So we should already know from first criminal activities is that if you're nearby and they can see you, don't be calling the police because they're coming right to your house, okay? The second thing is that when you call the police, you'll be involved. You say your name, you're trying to do the right thing. I know you're trying to do the right thing, but then you are actually a neighborhood watch who's put yourself under a great duress and stress. And then you need certain protections from the authorities because they see your face. All right? And the second type of way you should not be calling the police is if you are dealing with any underage children, anything like that. Because I got involved in a situation in the past, and I thought it would just basically be quick and not go on hearsay. But everything is about talk when it comes down to women. It's a hearsay case. I wish they changed this in the court of law. If there's no evidence or something, just throw it out. This is a waste of time. But they need to get paid, so they'll stretch it. Even though they already know within their heart, this is not right. Something's not right, okay? There's no video footage of anything. Somebody saying this and somebody saying that. You need video footage for everything. That's what I say the law should do. So far, we got cops who got cameras on their bodies, which I recommended many years ago, way before it even happened. We need videos everywhere, not in the bathrooms though. Okay, so with anything that comes down to underage children, like I got in trouble because I tried to help an underage girl who told me a lie. I was manipulated, and she was not an ordinary underage girl, okay? She was someone who had a history of doing wicked things and manipulating certain guys. And so when I called the police, I asked them, oh, do you just need my DNA? And I thought it would just be a done deal. Told them my situation very shortly. And so they started listening to her, and they shouldn't be listening to her. Because she said nothing about I did anything wrong to her. But they still wanted to pursue. It because maybe color of my skin, it's a very injustice-like thing to do. Come into my house 30 years later after the incident, and then I get in trouble. And I'm like, whoa, I never had a record before, okay? I never had a record before. And so they just decided to say, oh, there's no evidence, no DNA, no nothing. It's just you tried to protect the girl, and then next thing you know, you got in trouble, and they just wanted to charge me. It was not represented very well, and I was even told that a lot of judges are biased, and they actually want to get you in trouble. They want to put you in the jail, and I was like, I didn't know all this. I thought it was going completely, just straight up, evidence. No, it doesn't work on evidence. You could be honest and get yourself in trouble. Another thing is that you shouldn't call the police is that, someone says that something was stolen property or anything. I never encountered this before, but I heard that people call the police and say it's stolen property, and you still get in trouble even though you call the police, and they'll try to pin it on you. The courts will kind of pin it on you. Then you need to pay extra money. You need to get an attorney to convince them that you didn't do anything. It's a waste of time. If you call the police, you're the victim. For men, it's more dangerous to call the police. But for women, there is a bias, and the system has to be changed. So if a man calls the police, and he's most likely in self-defense, you might not want to do that. Let's say you're at your house, okay, and you call the police. I've heard stories where guys basically say, hey, they called the police and they didn't do nothing. They didn't take her to jail at all. And I said, I don't believe that. But you tell me. You tell me if that's true or not. I don't know if that's true or not. If you call the police and your wife assaulted you, she's supposed to be going to jail. Or you can sue the police department. Okay? So I really don't believe that. There are situations where a lot of times guys get thrown under the bus because that child is not theirs and they're paying goddamn child support. So you got to watch that. You get the DNA. You try to prove to them, hey, this is not my child. She fraudulently set me up. She should be going to jail for a long time. But no. I don't know how true that is. Okay? That's very hard for me to grasp, to think that a man is paying child support for a child that's not even his. But that's all I really want to say about certain times you should call the police and certain times you should not call the police. What else is there to say? I'm calling the police for a man, okay? It can be very dangerous, especially if you're honest and you don't know anything about the law. They'll throw you under the bus. They already know that you called the police, and then they're going to take it like you're the bad guy. Maybe because you're black, I don't know. I know there's such thing as systematic racism. It does exist. I've encountered it before. Even Candace Owens went through it, okay? All right? Okay? There are times when you have a bunch of racists who are against you, and they'll throw you under the bus, but you need some high-powered attorneys, and you need to do your due diligence. You need to do your research. And I didn't know nothing about the law. Even my ex-wife, when she tried to fraud me with a false PFA. See, that's another thing, too. False PFAs and all that stuff, they automatically go for the woman. And that all has to change. And I hope that Trump fixes this problem with this hearsay and also paternity fraud. Okay, it should be mandatory that all children get a paternity test in the hospitals. Make it so, so the guy won't go through the burden. No man should be signing anything unless a DNA test is done right then and there. Okay, but the system feeds off of that chaos. The court system feeds off that chaos. It's like CPS as well. That's a whole new. I'm going through that right now. I don't really have that much stress because I ain't going to deal with it. I ain't worried about it. There's things that don't listen to me, they tend to disappear. What I can't have, it's not about control, it's about security. It's about being disciplined. And people will always call you a narcissist because you're controlling, and when you have order in your life, no, you're controlling and you're a narcissist. Don't listen to them people. They don't know any better until something bad happens to them. And living around other people, especially in America, can cause detriment problems for men who are trying to do the right thing. And I learned that first-hand experience. That's why I take everything outside the country now. That's why you guys have to contact me to do what I do. I can't post everything on the internet. Somebody calling me this. I had an associate of mine tell me, hey, somebody's talking about you, making you look like a bad character, and they don't even know me. And I said, he ain't popular enough for me to file for a defamation of character lawsuit against him. He's not popular enough. It's not very hard to file a defamation lawsuit against someone, okay? And it ruin your reputation, because I don't really have a reputation on the internet, but it causes mental distress and arrest, okay, right? So basically, they're going to have to be charged to the game, okay? Other than that, that's all we're going to say about when and what times not to call the police, because it can go right against you. Because I'm not your average man. I'm not your hater man. And y'all have a nice day, guys, okay? Y'all have a nice day. Don't turn gay because of a lack of a leg. Peace.